Hello, my name is Lars and welcome to another video guide. In this video, I'm going to guide you through the GH raid. You need to be level 80 to enter this dungeon, and I suggest bringing a full party when going through. As you can see, my party is all level 90, but even though we out-leveled the dungeon, we will still encounter a few deaths here and there because this dungeon is pretty hard. What you're watching right now is me and my party mates doing the first wave of the dungeon. We are clearing out all of the enemies in the church, and looks like we are gate crashing a wedding. The enemies here aren't too tough one-on-one, but if you mob too many of them, they can overwhelm you and they will kill you if you're not careful. Okay, so after we killed the last enemy, the bride and the groom will turn into wraiths, and now we have to kill them. We did the first section of the dungeon without our wizard because we can control the amount of enemies we encounter, but at this point of the dungeon I strongly suggest having a wizard because the waves that spawn here are quite many, and having a wizard to deal AoE damage is going to be really useful. Okay, so now that the wizard is here, to proceed with the dungeon, you need to talk to this NPC, and he will turn into an evil druid, and he will start spawning waves of enemies. I'm going to speed up this next section because this is the part where the evil druid just spawns enemies over and over, and my party and I are clearing them out as they spawn, because if you don't clear them out as soon as they spawn, they can overwhelm you, which can be pretty deadly. After several waves of killing enemies, the evil druid will come out and start attacking us himself. He is always accompanied by several monsters, so you still need AoE damage to take care of those enemies. The evil druid himself is pretty easy to defeat, just keep attacking him and he'll go down pretty quickly. Once the evil druid dies, you will start getting your loot. The best loot in this dungeon is the roaring flame. It's used for flaming earrings, but unfortunately I didn't get any, so yeah, let's just move on. The boss monster in this section is pretty strange because you can actually use Turn Undead to kill it in one shot. So if you have a priest that has Turn Undead, you're going to have a much easier time with this section. If you don't have a priest with you with Turn Undead, this section is going to be a bit more tricky, because those evil servants that the boss summons, when they die, they heal the boss. So what you have to disable them and then isolate the boss, so you can kill the boss without healing him. As you can see, Turn Undead worked and the boss died in one shot. And now we are going to get our loot. The third section of this dungeon starts with an ambush. So I strongly suggest starting a little bit to the left of the stairs, because if you start the fight right in the middle, you are going to get mobbed by all of those demon priests and they really hurt. After clearing out all of the enemies, the boss monster spawns, which is a giant demon priest. He has the same attacks as the other enemies, but he also has a safety wall, so make sure you have enough attack speed to break the safety wall immediately as soon as he casts it. Or you can just wait for your wizard to AoE him down to death. To start the fourth section of the dungeon, you have to talk to the NPC, and he will start summoning Abysmal Knights. And the Abysmal Knights are pretty tough on their own. So if your tank isn't pretty tanky, you need to cast Safety Wall on your tank, because yeah, he's going to get mobbed and he is going to die. Now that the Abysmal Knights are dead, I am going to switch to Fire Armor, because this Dark Illusion has an instant cast Meteor Storm, and the Meteor Storm can one-shot pretty much anyone without Fire Armor. So you have to be very careful about positioning, because if your priest dies from a Meteor Storm, you are going to have a pretty bad time. So make sure you space out all of your allies and they don't stand too close to each other. The final boss in this dungeon, he spawns immediately, which is pretty nice. So this section is shorter than the others, but you have to remember to not kill the Abysmal Knights that he summons, because if you do, he will enter Berserk mode and he can one-shot pretty much anyone. So remember to Stone Curse the Abysmal Knights and then isolate the boss. So my party mates and I executed the plan perfectly, and now we can isolate the boss, and then this fight becomes much easier. And that's about it for this video. I hope you learned something. Please like and subscribe, and let's see each other again in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.